Hello, beautiful Limeys. It's Dr. Christine Arsenault, PharmD, Functional Medicine Certified Health Coach, coming to you live today to talk about the gut and why the gut matters. And I'm curious if any of you have struggled with gut issues along the way during your Lyme journey. And why is the gut so important, especially for people with Lyme disease? Well, the gut is actually sometimes called our second brain, and actually in reality it's our first brain because the gut was formed before our actual brain. So there are a lot of neurotransmitters in both your brain and your gut, and your gut actually has 3/4 of the neurotransmitters in your body. So there is this communication that goes on between your gut and your brain. And we used to know that it went from your brain to your gut. Like if you were feeling nervous, maybe that led to digestion issues for you or made it so you didn't want to eat, things like that. We kind of know that connection. But now we know that there's also the connection the other way around, the gut to the brain, and the gut actually sends a lot more signals up to the brain than the other way around. So that's why gut health and brain health are sometimes connected. Sometimes depression, anxiety, things like that are mental health could actually be a sign of something going on in your gut. So addressing gut health is important for your mind as well as the rest of your body. Another thing that the gut is tied to is your skin. So things like eczema, acne, a lot of times if there are skin issues, there could be an issue in the gut. And so sometimes probiotics can help with skin issues or anxiety because the gut affects so many things. The gut is also really important for detoxing. You need to have regular bowel movements in order to keep up with your detox. And so if you don't have a healthy gut, you're not going to be able to detoxify adequately. If you're treating Lyme and your gut is unhealthy, then you won't be able to get rid of all the die-off products from treating the Lyme. So it makes sense to start with the gut. And Hippocrates said that all disease starts in the gut. And so it's kind of like when all else fails, look at the gut. What can you do now to make your digestion healthier? No matter what kind of practitioner you're seeing or not seeing, there are things that you can do today to start making your gut healthier, and that's going to have a big impact on your health in general. Your gut is also important for the immune system. That's where our immune system is housed. 2/3 of our immune tissue are in the gut. And so you want a strong immune system if you're fighting infections. So it makes sense that you want a robust gut so that it can handle the Lyme and the other co-infections that you might have. And there are more bacterial cells in our body than human cells. In fact, our gut microbiome has about 100 to 150 times more genome than the human genome. So there is a lot of new research coming out about our gut microbiome, and there's a lot we still have yet left to learn, but it's very interesting. And another thing that you should be aware of if you're somebody with Lyme disease is that antibiotics affect your gut health. And especially if you got antibiotics as a child, just one course of antibiotics changes your gut microbiome for life. So you can never quite get it back to the way it was. So if you've had antibiotics throughout your life, you want to be especially diligent about your gut health and getting your microbiome back to where it should be. So there are issues that we have with our guts when it comes to dysbiosis, when it comes to permeability. Things that can contribute to these are not only the foods that we eat, but also stress and medications and nutrient deficiencies. Maybe it's low stomach acid, inflammation. We already discussed antibiotics. So the permeability is really important because you don't want things to get out of the gut that aren't supposed to. That can cause autoimmune type things, allergic type reactions, food sensitivities. So having an intact gut lining that is not any more permeable than it's supposed to be is a good marker of gut health, as well as dysbiosis, not having dysbiosis. So that's the balance of good and bad bacteria. You want to make sure that the balance is where it should be, that you don't have the overgrowth of the negative bacteria. And so how do we strive for this optimal gut health? Well, in functional medicine, there are 5 R's for gut health. So this is kind of the philosophy that functional medicine practitioners use when figuring out a plan for gut health. So the first R is remove. So first R is remove. What do we want to remove? We want to remove any triggers to your gut. Any food triggers are a big one. So maybe it's gluten, maybe it's dairy, something that is causing issues for you. So food sensitivity tests or an elimination diet can help you figure out exactly what your specific triggers are. But sugar and alcohol in general, those are not good for the gut. The sugar feeds the bacteria that we don't want. The alcohol kills off the good bacteria. Those are things that it's pretty safe to say most people will benefit if they just avoid those as much as they can. Pesticides are another issue. Toxins in general, becoming aware of toxins in your environment, removing those. Pathogens. So some of us might have gut pathogens. We might have parasites and other things. It's a good idea to remove those and make the gut as healthy as we can in most cases before we start actually treating the Lyme, so that your body can then handle the detox, handle the die-off, and it won't be overloaded. If you're overloaded and you can't handle things and you start herxing and you drive inflammation, you cause all these other issues, it might make treatment harder, it might set you back. So having a healthy gut is really, really important before you really start treating. All right, so second R, we have remove and then replace. So we want to replace things that are missing that have caused issues. So deficiencies, a lot of times we have deficiencies, especially if we have issues with absorption and permeability issues. We might not be absorbing things. So replacing any deficiencies. A lot of times for gut things, zinc and vitamin D tend to be low. So those are usually good for people to replace. You might need some digestive support, some digestive enzymes or bile acids. So this is going to be a little bit specific, again, to the individual, exactly what you need to replace. Usually fiber is a good thing to add as well for digestion for health. So we have remove, replace. The third R is re-inoculate. Re-inoculate. So we re-inoculate by prebiotics and probiotics. And I'm not going to go into specific brands because there's not one probiotic that's going to work for everybody. You really kind of have to, again, look to see if there's any dysbiosis. You might want to do a GI test, a stool test to see where your gut's at. And so there might be certain probiotics that would be better for you or that you'd want to avoid. Prebiotics are important for really prebiotics are the food to probiotics, so that can really help re-inoculate our gut. Probiotics for most of the time aren't really seeding in our gut. So they only work when we take them, whereas the prebiotics help feed the bacteria that's there and really kind of re-inoculate that gut. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from a capsule. It could be from food. There are dietary sources for probiotics. You can do things like kefir or kimchi or sauerkraut. So there are different options there, and it really kind of depends on your needs. The fourth R is repair. So now that you know there might have been some damage to your gut, how are we going to repair that? And so that might be certain things like adding vitamins A, C, and E, different things through your diet, supplements. Quercetin is usually beneficial, especially if you have allergic type things. Glutamine can be beneficial to repair the gut. So again, a lot of times you'd want to work one-on-one with a practitioner to find the best supplements for you for repairing your gut. And then the last R, rebalance. All right, so we have remove, replace, re-inoculate, repair, and then lastly, rebalance. And I think rebalance is kind of my favorite because this is kind of what functional medicine is all about. It's about addressing everything in your life. So why were you off balance in the first place, and how can you address that? So one of the big things that can really affect your gut is stress. So Rebalance looks like learning how to rest, learning how to have fun, learning how to manage stress, making sure you have a balanced life so you don't get into that situation again where your gut becomes so damaged that you have to do this amount of repair. Maybe mindful eating is a big part of the rebalance for you. Just coming up with habits and kind of the ceremony that you have around food and sitting down and taking a couple of breaths before you eat, being mindful about the food that you're eating, chewing your food adequately so that it turns to liquid easier so it can get absorbed easier. Just little things like that, your little daily habits of how you actually eat can make a big difference in your digestion. So do a couple breaths, make your exhale longer than your inhale. That gets you into a parasympathetic state. That's the state where you rest and digest and heal. So that's going to put you in that digestion, get you ready for that. Then make sure that you're chewing your food adequately, that you're concentrating on your food, that you're not having other thoughts, especially stressful thoughts. You don't want to eat in a stressful environment. You don't want to eat when you're standing up because that's not signaling to your body that it's time to eat and that it's time to digest. So just doing these little habits can really help with the rebalance phase. Maybe it's therapy. Maybe you need to address some emotions. You need to address some mind-body things, yoga, meditation, things like that. Whatever's going to work for you for stress management. I know we can't necessarily just remove stress, so we have to learn how to manage it. We have to learn how to live with it and how to balance our life. Movement, exercise is important, and sleep is really important for your gut health as well. So rebalance is really about balancing everything in your life. This is what functional medicine is all about. It's about addressing a holistic approach, addressing all aspects of your life and figuring out how to live your best life, how to make yourself so healthy that these pathogens don't want to live in your body. And so it's about being resilient and whatever that looks like for you, because different people have different activities that they enjoy for stress management, for different things. So it has to be individualized. It has to be something that you're excited about and that you want to change in your life in order for the habit to actually stick. So I hope you enjoyed the 5 R's, the functional medicine approach to gut health. And thank you for tuning in. And I would love to hear in the comments if any of you have been struggling with any gut issues, or if there was any certain supplements that really helped you that you want to share with others in the group. I would love for you to share.